Welcome to another episode of the CarryTrainer Higher Line podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the CarryTrainer Higher Line podcast. We've got a now older special friend, Talon Sei.
What's up? How's it going, everyone?
Talon is on like an around the country year-long tour.
Yeah, it just kind of started technically like March of last year, so it's actually, about a year exactly now.
Yeah. So, quick backstory. Some of you guys that have joined us in the last year, because the last time I think you were on the podcast was at least a year ago.
Mm-hmm. If not longer.
Yeah, it could have been longer. You've been on, I think, twice though. I think so.
Yeah,
I think we did too. But if you've joined us since and don't know him, he's got a huge YouTube following, a good Instagram following, and we'll talk about what he does. But when I met you, you had come with a mutual friend to a training course we were doing in your home state of Pennsylvania.
Yep.
A number of years ago, we were at our friends from TA Targets, their home range, and we became friends. You came to the first and second S12 event.
I think the third, too.
I was going to say, and maybe the third one, too, because that's the last time, or the first time I saw the van.
Yeah. So that would have been 2 years ago, yep.
So, elevator pitch. People are like, who's this guy? Just some dude with a big beard?
I make YouTube videos for a living. I never expected to do it for a living, but that's what I do now. I've been making videos for about 5 years on YouTube full time. I've made a ton of videos before that. But I just do everything. I don't know. Got into firearms, which is how Mick and I connected, and I travel in a van, converted Sprinter van, like four-wheeling and motorcycles and EDC, guns, knives, just all sorts of like manly stuff, I guess. I've never been one to be
manly
like, oh yeah, I'm a manly man, but there are people who are into that stuff, so... That's not me.
That is manly.
That's not me.
So here's what I think is cool that I something I think that viewers would appreciate about you. So like person looking in, you did all the things you're not supposed to do in life. You went and got a college degree.
Yep.
You went and got a really good job. You like when I met you, you lived in Florida, but like we were talking about earlier, you've lived in Arizona, you lived in New Jersey, you've lived a bunch of places making a good dollar. You were in like the IT field, right?
Yep. I was an IT consultant.
And you started a YouTube channel that started to grow lifestyle stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to describe it. Just lifestyle. Like it's definitely beneficial to niche down.
You got your own flannel shirts.
Yeah, my own. I mean, that's a whole nother story. A lot of people niche down into specific things. Like you're obviously doing mainly firearm stuff, dick jokes, of course. But I was just like, nah, I have too many hobbies and I just want to showcase everything.
Yeah, you did like your Subaru build. Do you still have that?
I still have one of them, yeah.
Okay, you did, but you ski, you're a professional skier.
Yep.
You do the freaking one wheel.
Yeah, electric skateboards. I do a little bit of everything. And if I like niched down and created individual channels for each thing, it would probably grow way faster, but I'm not interested in like being famous or being whatever. Like I don't need to be known by everyone.
I don't want to be famous. Some dude tattooed his logo. A stranger tattooed your logo.
Not a stranger anymore. I've met him since then. But yeah, my signature
logo.
Sir,
what else can I do for you? Look what I've done.
And I don't know if he was drunk when he did it, but
didn't you like meet this guy like in an airport or something?
He worked at Miami International Airport. He was a follower of mine for a long time, and I have a Discord server where you can like chat with people who are into what you're doing. So I have all these chat rooms, and we were all hanging out in there one night, and someone brought up tattoos for some reason, and someone was like, oh, let's get Talon's logo tattooed. And I was like, absolutely not. Don't do that. I don't want to see that on anyone. And then like, I don't know, it might have been 2 weeks later, this dude has a big TS signature logo like right here on his arm. And I was like, no way is that real. I flew into Miami one time because I was living there, and he works there, came and picked me up in a golf cart, like the disabled things. Yeah, I was like, he was wearing like a suit and tie and everything. I was like, dude, I got to see this tattoo. And sure enough, he has that on his arm forever now,
That's funny.
It's crazy to think about.
So the point I was driving at is like you did what people. I know your parents are proud of you, but what you would think is not what you're supposed to do. You had a good job, you had a good career, you had a good education, you still have that knowledge, of course.
Yeah.
And you just kind of like tossed it all out the window to be what they call it dirtbag life. Now it's like what my brother calls it. You're a tramp.
Yeah.
But you do a lot of cool stuff. And what I think is cool, and we've talked about this in bits and pieces in past discussions, but now we can add a whole nother year plus of life experiences, is you're successful. You've got what you need to survive, and you're not just surviving, you're thriving, and you keep doing, you just started Sei Productions, which is something we can talk about today. And you've got, it's a legitimate business, but you're doing what you want to, not punching a clock, which if that's what somebody wants to do, that's cool.
It's completely fine. I mean, I think we talked about this probably on one of the other podcasts, but so many people are just content with living a comfortable life, and that gets boring to me really quickly. So I did have a good job. I made decent money and everything, but I wanted more, not money-wise, but I just it wasn't fulfilling. So I was like, man, I need to do something else that is more self-fulfilling rather than, like you said, clocking in every day, just collecting a paycheck and just living a normal-ish life. So
being unhappy.
Yeah.
Or maybe not even unhappy, but just it's not what you want to do.
Yeah, it wasn't even that I was unhappy, because I was fine doing what I was doing, but on the side, I was making YouTube videos, and it got to a point where I started making money, and I was like, oh, wasn't expecting this. This is a good byproduct of doing what I enjoy doing. And then after a few years, I'm making more than I'm making at my desk job. I'm just doing YouTube on the side from like 6 o'clock at night till midnight before I wake up the next day and go back to work. So I was like, okay, well, I have this crazy opportunity that not many people get. I'm just going to take this and run with it. Sink or swim for a year and just see what happens.
And that was 3 years ago?
This summer will be 3 years, so it's about 2.5 years that I've been full-time on YouTube now.
And the point I'm making to folks, sometimes I think people hear a discussion like this and they're like, all right, they're saying quit my job and start a YouTube channel. That's absolutely not what I'm saying, because it's absolutely a metric ton of work. Drew, who's behind the camera there, lights computers on fire from editing so much. Like it's not just like, and that's a big, like we have the CarryTrainer University where we work with people that do what I do, and one of the challenges is helping them develop social media so they can get customers. And people think like, well, I posted a picture of like the sky, and why don't I have a full, I'm just making shit up, but I did the thing, right?
They want to see instant success.
Yeah, basically. And why don't I have a bank account full of money and a roster full of paying customers? And it's like, well, first of all, nobody wants to see a picture of the sky, and
it doesn't happen overnight. A lot of people see, like, especially what I do, and they're like, oh, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, and I'm there to tell you everything you want to know about it. I'll lay it out step by step what I did, and a lot of people don't realize how much time went into it. Like, I think one of like the main themes that we talked about on another podcast was when everyone says,
must be nice.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
I get that a lot.
Must be nice. Must be nice. Not making any money for years on end, filming yourself, having your family think you're an idiot because you're out in the garage talking about skateboards to yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how it starts, though.
Oh, he's out there again talking to his phone on a tripod. Yeah. But that like the point I'm driving at is it's not just I watched this is it a documentary or was it like I think it's a new show on Netflix. And
the Instagram people?
Well, yeah, the concept is if you've seen it.
Yeah.
I only watched like part of the first one because it was a little annoying to me, but I wanted to kind of see and it was exactly what I thought it would be.
Yeah, it was like, I think, what was it called? Creating an Influencer or something like that?
If you guys haven't seen it, go ahead.
It's basically they pick...
It's like American Idol.
Yeah, they just pick 3 random people out of this like group of people.
I think they had like 4,000 applicants.
Yeah, there was a ton of people.
And like, do you want to be famous and do you want to have a huge social media following? And everybody's like, yeah.
Who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
And then the way they did it was they like bought all 3 of them followers, likes, comments, and stuff like that.
So I didn't see that far. They bought it?
Oh, yeah. That's how they made them like who they are.
So they did not do what we had to do to cultivate an audience and curate content.
Right.
They just, and so then the audience saw the followers and were like, this person must be important. So then real followers came.
That's it. That's like the general gist of it. Basically, like, the term influencer to me, I hate it.
Yeah,
because I'm not here to influence anyone
just to
on
get
like
you to tattoo my shit on yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to have that type of influence, but I'm cool with tattoos now. But yeah, like they would take these people to like stylized photo shoots, and they would like create a bunch of content for them with like photographers and stuff like that. And then they would buy likes, buy followers, and then one of them, I don't want to spoil it, but one of them eventually catches on and it like works for her.
She becomes like a legit she becomes a real influencer.
Yeah. And then like some of I forget what happened to the other two guys, but one of them was like, I don't like this. Like, I want to do it organically. And they're like, okay, well then why'd you sign up for this?
Was he the artsy one that made clothes?
Yeah.
Because it seems like
and like, good for him. Like, I would be the same way. I personally would have never signed up for something like that unless it was like not my actual account.
Yeah.
If you would have came to me like 2 years before I did YouTube and I didn't care about social media as much as I do now, I would do it. I think it's interesting.
Do you care about social media?
I care for it in the sense that it's how I can communicate with my audience, and without my audience I wouldn't be able to do what I do. So
would you do what you do without pay?
Yeah, because I did do it for the longest time.
I mean, would you still though? Like, I mean, you work really hard. Would you do it if like YouTube said, you know what, we're just going to change everything. We're no longer monetizing videos. You find your own way to monetize your shit.
So that sort of happened when my channel got demonetized. It's hard now to say I would or would not do that because I have to make money doing it. If not, I go back to working a normal job and my life completely changes again. But for those who don't know, I did a lot of firearm content on my channel, and YouTube pulled my entire channel from their partner program, which means I made no money. Firearm content was only like a fifth of what I was doing. I would post one video a week.
Sunday gun day.
Sunday gun day. So long story short, the way I overcame that was I removed all the gun content from my main channel, put it on a channel of its own, and then got my main channel remonetized. In today's day and age, I don't make money from my gun videos. If anything, it costs me money, especially now with ammo prices and everything being super expensive. So it's just a lot of time and effort that goes into it, but I still make gun videos. So I would say, yeah, I would still do what I do, even if it doesn't make me money, because I make no money.
Sure. Yeah, it's Drew knows how to walk the fine line of keeping everybody happy for us, because while we do gun-related content, we're not doing the reviews and that kind of stuff. It's it's a different animal, but and that I think is the part that people they think about this. Hey, it seems so great to get to travel around, film myself, shoot guns, ski, whatever the fun thing is, and get paid for it. But the education to get that far is like years of work, where you're not getting paid, or where the pay doesn't cover costs, and you're just trying to sort shit out.
I didn't make money for the first maybe 2 years on YouTube, and even then it wasn't a whole lot anyway. Luckily, I had a few videos really get picked up, and my following grew exponentially, really quickly. So I was never planning on doing it full time, but it put me in the perfect position to do it full time.
You got about 500,000 subscribers on YouTube now on your main channel. Is that right?
Yeah, I just passed 500,000 the other day. And then the Sunday Gun Day channel, which I started about a year ago, that's already up to 150.
Awesome.
So there's a lot of crossover there, of course, but I've seen that organically grow as well, which is nice.
Super cool. So you've got 500,000 subscribers. You know what's interesting? Like when I met you, I think maybe you had on your main channel 150. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. We've only got 30 or something. And now you've got 500 and we've got 230. And it's not a comparison, but what's funny is it's always well, 500 is great, but 700 would be a lot cooler.
Yeah, striving for more.
When's enough, you know?
Yeah, I I think about 2 years ago, on New Year's Eve, I always do like a recap video of everything that I've done for the year. And I believe it was 2 New Year's Eves ago, where I was like, going into this next year, I'm not going to worry about analytics, just because like numbers obviously mean something, but I think too many people put that number up on a pedestal. Like you said, like, oh, why does this guy have 750,000 or 1 million and I'm only at whatever I'm at? So that helped me a lot. I was never like obsessed with the numbers, but it's nice. Like hitting a milestone like 500,000, like I've been close for like a year and a half. So when I finally hit that, I was like, ah, yes. Like it finally switches over to 500. I don't see 49 ... So it's just like, yeah, like this, it's not, the number doesn't mean you're successful just because I have 1,000 more subscribers than I did like last month, but it's just nice hitting that milestone with anything too. Like if you're into running, you're like, oh, I'm trying to hit the 5 mile mark, but I can only do like 3.5 before I'm dying.
I think that's a good way of looking at it. It's a good analogy. I dig that.
It's like you're not much better at running because you can do 5 now instead of 3.5, but that sense of accomplishment is just nice to have. So
I dig that. The tangible proof that the effort is paying off in some way.
Yeah.
Have you seen, like, you've made tons of friends. Well, I look at social media, like I always tell people when they ask about this, I say it's a free billboard. You know, you just have to pay to put a ladder up and climb up there and paint your crap on the billboard.
Right.
You know, you could do it with a phone, or you could have all the lights and cameras like we have here, or, you know, however you're going to do it, that's on you. But I think a lot of times folks forget what they want out of it. Like,
yeah,
because that show, that kid's like that one dude you're talking about, and if you guys watch it, you'll know what we're saying. He was all about, I deserve to be famous. Right. And then once they were handing it to him, he was like, well, this is dirty. This isn't how I want it.
Yeah. I mean, so like one of the reasons why I left my job to work for myself full time, like I said, was because it's more fulfilling than like handing in a deliverable that you're expected to do because you're an employee, and then have someone go, all right, cool, now work on this. You never got like a thank you. Whereas I remember going home from work 9 to 5 and then posting a video, people would be like, oh dude, thanks for the video, this helped me out, blah, blah, blah. And just that instant gratification. Wasn't getting paid for it, but I'm like, damn, this feels good. Like it's nice that people are interested in my life, interested in the things that I'm interested in, and it's just way more fulfilling. So I guess a lot of people get addicted to social media, and I was never addicted to like the likes and followers and stuff like that. But I guess it's almost like an addiction to having that gratitude from people, like people who actually appreciate what you're doing. Because I guarantee you there's a lot of people out there watching this right now who go into work every day and they're doing a killer job, and they probably feel really unappreciated. They're just doing their job, doing as expected, and they never get a thank you.
I used to work with a guy that said, "Attaboy, don't pay the bills."
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. So like, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy doing what I do now.
What are some bad things about it?
It's honestly pretty stressful at times. I find myself like working really hard, and I'm sure you do this too, you and Drew. You work really hard on an idea, a long video, something that you feel is going to be really successful, and then you post it and it just flatlines. And it's like, damn. So it gets pretty discouraging when stuff like that happens. But there's nothing you can do about that. A lot of times it's the algorithm, or it's just you posted it at the wrong time. Like there's a million different factors that go into it. So the only thing you can do is just keep on making videos. Some
of the best stuff we've done is like from a content, and it's not like it's my opinion, but some of the best stuff we've done content wise, video production, audio production. I mean, nobody does audio production like Drew does. Not in the space that we're in. Nobody does the color rendering and stuff like he does. Nobody does it. And so like people don't appreciate that stuff. And then like there'll be something that's out there and you're just like, I just want to see you dump magazines into, like,
Right.
that's not what we do, man.
And that seems like it works a lot too with like the gun world. I mean, when I switched over to my new channel, like I like putting out entertaining and informative videos, but with like a fun style to it with music and nice editing and stuff. So when I switched to the new channel, I made this ridiculous 20-second intro of like just some like rock music, and then I put a gunshot to every beat of the song, and it got like mixed reviews at first. Everyone's like, oh dude, that's way too long, you got to cut it down to like 5 seconds. And then other people who previously have never seen it before are like, oh my god, this is the greatest intro ever. So they'll like click on the video just to watch the intro. And it's like, it's cool. It took me a while to edit, but yeah, people are really easy to please with stuff like that.
All of that begs the question, because we could, like, all of us here know how to just curate content that will get likes, views, etc. We could just dump content out every day. Drew could make crummy, whatever videos that are not clean and nice and smooth and all that, and we could dump them out and get likes and views, but we are not interested in it.
Right.
And so, like, you see people do that, guys that I respect the hell out of, but they have big followings, and it's like, well, you're just like literally churning out the same thing, but it's maybe like it's a white cup, then it's a black cup, then it's a blue cup,
Right.
but it's the same damn thing. You're just pumping out you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and like we could all do that, but luckily I hate doing that, and I hate seeing it too. So that's why, I mean, I think you and I both stick very true to our brands and what we want to do. Like, you know that if you go out and post a bunch of mag dump videos, people are going to eat that shit up. They're like, oh, this is so great. But it's like,
Lame.
It's not what you want to do. Yeah.
People like sitcoms or vanilla ice cream, whatever. There's nothing wrong with, I think, people wanting that. I just don't, I'm not interested in creating that.
Right. And that's what I run into a lot. That's why I kind of switch what I do so much on YouTube. But to go back to the question, like some negative sides of that.
You know, the thing that we're talking about is it's definitely not all just like fun and games. You were in your mobile office this morning while I was working, sitting in a parking lot, editing.
Yeah.
It's not like you're just always sitting on skateboards or snowboards or ski boards or...
And I love that stuff too. Like I actually do enjoy editing, but some of the stressful stuff does come from like that sit down work. I think one of the most stressful things is also managing relationships.
Talk about that.
Not with people, but with companies, because I like to do business with companies and like friends who I can pick up the phone and call you out of the blue, be like, yo, what's up, dude? And we just have like a normal conversation. So a lot of the companies that I deal with, I use
Go back a
products.
second, a normal conversation versus like it having to always be like, hi, I'm Talon Sei and I'm interested in doing some business. Okay.
So a little less formal, I would say. I would much rather work with a company when I'm using their products or services or whatever, when I'm on that type of level with them. So when I'm getting like emails from all these companies and it's all super formal, they have to set up a 30-minute to an hour-long conversation to pitch themselves to me.
So like that you can be a brand ambassador, influencer for them.
Yeah, if you have to do that, I don't want to work with you. Just straight up, like you're going to take an hour of my time as I'm driving around the country or I'm filming something or whatever. So like that desk job type of work stuff, answering emails, phone calls, just any kind of stuff like that is probably the most stressful stuff for me.
Relationships are hard, and it's like you and I might go months without talking, but it's work to have friends.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we're not friends because we're not talking, but I don't know what's been going on with you the last 3 months other than watching your feeds.
Right.
But I think to your point, there's guys, gals, people just want more. That tripod, I want to do business with that tripod company. I want to do business with that t-shirt company. I want to do business with that site company. So you've got all of these like pretend relationships out there, and they're not tangible or real. And that's, I know exactly what you're saying. Like the guys from Supervel, the folks from Langdon Tactical, like people like that are, if I never film another thing in my life, I'd still shoot Ernest guns. I'd still shoot Super Vel's ammo.
Yeah.
And still eat dinner at their houses if I was in their community.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me, like just having an honest relationship with the people. So other than that, though, I know you mentioned like what is stressful. It's pretty good. Like I should say life is pretty good.
Of course it is. You drive around and play on a snowboard.
Right. I'm super thankful that I'm able to do what I do. And a lot of people in the social media space, whether it's Instagram or YouTube, definitely glorify everything in their life. And if you look at my life through just that little window on your phone or on your computer screen, it looks pretty wild. But I try to keep it like as real as possible. So like a lot of my videos they're not insanely engaging and interesting because like the video that I'm gonna post later today, it started with me and my cousin like making bowls of cereal in the van. Just like mundane stuff like that, because I'm trying to showcase like the real life stuff. I've slept in Walmart parking lots and I'm like, oh, check out this super dope spot for tonight.
You're literally doing though your Huckleberry Finn
In
real life. Remember, Huckleberry Finn got on a raft and took off, like headed down the river to go like see the world. And it's like you're doing what every boy, I don't mean like that calling you a boy, but every young boy had a fantasy of grabbing a stick and throwing it over his shoulder and like just tramping around the world, and not to run away because life was bad, but like that's kind of, I think, in us to go see things, and you're doing it. I've been doing that in a different capacity, traveling around training for the last number of years. But I think, like, folks will say, "Oh man, like you're just in the Rockies. I've never seen the mountains." Why not? Like, if you can afford 2 tanks of gas, like no matter where you're at, you can drive to the mountains and at least see them, and make some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to eat on the way. You don't have to have anything fancy.
Exactly.
Just go.
I think the world would be a much better place if, even the country, I think the country would be a better place if more people traveled. And I understand there are a lot of restrictions for some people. Like, I think, well, I work 5 days a week. That's not a good excuse to me. You have a weekend, like you said, instead of going out and spending $200 at the bar on a weekend, buy an $80 plane ticket to Denver, fly over there, and go get a rental car for $100 a day, and then you have a full weekend of experiences. You're meeting new people. Like I've definitely changed over the past year or so, mentally. Just with all of the experiences that I've had now, and just seeing different places of the country, talking with people like yourself and other friends and family members, even complete strangers throughout my travels. And it just gives me a broader spectrum of understanding why people do the things that they do.
When you say you've changed, identify what you mean by change.
I guess for a while, I've been sort of trying to figure out what the next step is after YouTube, because I don't think I'm going to make YouTube videos forever. Oh my God, my channel's done. Today's my last upload. Sorry, guys.
Try the mic off and just
yeah, I'm out of here.
He's joking. Some of you guys on your channel right now, that guy's scrubbing the tattoo off.
Just grinding it off his arm. But it's, what were we talking about?
You're talking about that you're traveling around. You've been thinking about what is the next step in my life.
So I'm trying to figure out the next step, and traveling around and meeting all these people and talking to other business owners and seeing, talking with you and seeing all the different things that you're doing. It just gives me not only motivation, but it gives me my own ideas of how can I take this person's situation and sort of twist it to work for myself. A lot of people watch motivational speakers and stuff like that on social media platforms and whatever it may be. And I think a lot of that is pretty toxic because, do you know Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yeah.
Gary V, he's a big one. He puts out a lot of great content, and there's so many people who sit there and listen to what he's saying and are they get this fake motivation. They're like, oh yeah, like that's what I need to do to better myself, better my business, or whatever it may be. And then they don't act. They don't do anything.
Well, that's always, you gotta have action, right?
Yeah. So like, I always tell people, like, take what someone like him says, take what I'm saying, and figure out how it relates to your own life. Like, don't take it verbatim, because everyone's life is different. There's no direct answer to be successful on Instagram or YouTube or whatever it may be. So just kind of take the information that you're hearing and try to relate to it. If you can't relate to it, then you just don't. But I've talked and surrounded myself with so many awesome people who are entrepreneurs and other content creators that a lot of what I'm doing relates to them, and I can sort of pave my own path based off of what they've learned and what they've told me. People who are bigger than me and smaller than me. I've talked with,
You're talking about like height-wise?
Yeah, so I'm like 5'10". So like 6'2" people got a way better perspective because they're up there. But yeah, I talk with like smaller channels, and I mean, again, numbers don't mean everything, but I've learned stuff from you. My channel is so much bigger than Mickey's, by the way. You should check out my channel, because this little channel over
My
here,
biceps are so much bigger than his.
that's true. He's got that on me. But yeah, I think if people traveled more and just experienced more things, it would be way better.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think that changes our perspective. I think like the simple thing is it makes you appreciate the fact that we live, our country's huge. Of course, there's bigger countries, bigger continents, but compared to most countries in the world that are free, and there's none free like ours, that you can travel unfettered around the entire country, that you can go from the Pacific Northwest to the Florida Keys, from my sister's place up in northern Maine, which is on the Canadian border, all the way to the desert by, Tijuana.
Texas,
all the way down in that area. And it's crazy, the vastness.
Yeah.
Like you said, though, the people, we're nice. People talk about how mean everybody is. We have like the kindest people everywhere.
Yeah, you're just in the wrong spot if you think that.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up under that kind of impression for a while, because grew up in the Northeast. It's probably similar around this area too. Like whenever you're in a city environment, especially around like New York City or Philadelphia, like everyone seems rude, and I understand
Midwest
why people
is pretty
think
kind.
That. Okay,
Yeah,
even
we're
in
pretty
like
kind.
Chicago area and
I
everything?
mean, it's not like New York, not like there's nobody, if you drive around in the city, there's not horn honks every 3 seconds here.
That's good. But yeah, I've met great people. Another cool thing about traveling, I think, is like having memories now that I've not only captured in like video and photo, but I've just straight up experienced, that I have a way better understanding of like the country. Like, so if I meet someone randomly, just like at a bar or something, they're like, oh, I'm from Roswell, New Mexico. I'm like, oh, sick. Yeah, I've been there for like 3 days. And like, I have a better understanding of the culture of the area, I guess, because like before this road trip, I mean, I've been around the country, but not to all 48 states. And now I can like, I guess Mount Rushmore is a bad example, because my time at Rushmore kind of sucked. But
I've been there 4 or 5 times now.
But like as a kid, I only ever saw it in books, so I had no idea what the area was like. I didn't know anything about it's in the Black Hills.
The Black Hills.
Yeah, so like it's cool to experience that stuff. It doesn't mean a whole lot, but it's like, I don't know. I think more people should do it.
What do you mean it doesn't mean a whole lot?
Like just seeing that stuff, it didn't mean a whole lot to me to like go and see something like that. When I was there, it was extremely snowy and foggy, so I actually didn't even see it.
Okay.
But like the experience of seeing something like that doesn't mean a lot to me, but being able to experience just like going there and understanding like why it's significant and important and stuff like that. I guess that doesn't really make sense, but that...
I understand what you're saying.
The experience of going to these places means more to me than just like the place itself.
The place. That's exactly what I thought you were saying. I have a great... The first time I saw the Mount Rushmore, just because this is exactly what you're talking about, my friend of mine and I were traveling from Helena, Montana in the worst blizzard of the last 20 years back to Chicago. This is like early 2000s.
Sounds fun.
In my Honda Odyssey, 90 shutdown.
4-wheel drive, at least?
The front wheel drive.
Front wheel drive,
And this thing was a machine. You see my friend Tony, and ever ask him this story, he's like, this van went through everything. I had never been to Yellowstone at this point in my life, and I'd never seen Mount Rushmore. So it's way out of the way, but we're driving.
Yeah, that's really far out of the way.
We're from Helena. We drove all the way south down to Yellowstone. Hilarious story. The storm starts, and this is before cell phones are what they are, like with all the weather and all that crap. Definitely not like news and all that. I think we were still running like Blackberries. Okay. Anyway, we get in through the entrance to Mount Rushmore, or I'm sorry, to Yellowstone, and we don't have like your van. We got like luggage, a couple sleeping bags because we were in a hotel. We're like, we'll just grab some like steaks, have a fire somewhere in Yellowstone, like we're idiots, and just like...
You just don't know what you're doing, really.
And we both are outdoors guys, but we wake up, there's feet of snow on the ground. The park is locked down. We had to literally physically break a gate to escape the park because everybody left. And Yellowstone is not like a city park. It's thousands and thousands of acres. We drove through the snow all over the park as snow's piling up. So we get out.
You didn't see any rangers or anything?
They all left because of this storm.
So they didn't even think.
Yeah. So there's like the one section there, and we ended up, I called when I got home and told them what happened. But as we get out, I think we were by Roosevelt Arch, that entrance. We get out, there's like a little bar there. And these people are like, where the hell did you come from? We're like, in the park. They're like, no, you didn't. Park's locked down. They're like, we were trapped in there last night. So we go from there, and we're back roading into the Black Hills, and they shut down the road to Mount Rushmore. And I'm like, nope, I will not be denied. So we go around, and we're driving up those switchbacks to get up there. It's a blizzard.
Yeah, that's gnarly. I mean...
So we stop the van, and I'm like, I'm going. And I'm walking up the road, and they've got the mountain lit up because those lights probably just always come on. But it's like your headlights in a blizzard. You just see snow.
Yeah.
Cop lights come on out of this blizzard. I'm like, oh crap. A park ranger pulls up, and he's like, what the hell are you guys doing up here? And I'm like, I really wanted to see the mountain. He's like, are you guys drunk? And I'm like, absolutely not, sir. We've been driving all day in this snowstorm. Like, we're literally like in the heart of the storm all day driving east. He puts us in his truck and drives us through like the park ranger trail to the base of the mountain, and I get a selfie with him on my Blackberry. I still got it. We were at the base of the hill standing in the rubble pile.
Oh, he took you to the rubble pile?
He drove us, right up to the base of the mountain. I still got it somewhere. I'll probably have to pull that picture up for the podcast.
That's super cool.
But like, I got this picture, and we're talking. He was from like out by you, Pennsylvania area, and moved out west because he wanted to. And so like he understood like that we needed to see this thing.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's the experience and like the adventure of going to do the thing. So my time there, it wasn't like, I don't have a good story of it. It just kind of sucked overall. I went to Theodore Roosevelt National Park,
which is beautiful.
Beautiful when I was there. Miserable. Was
it?
Miserable, yeah. It was like I couldn't see more than maybe 100 yards.
Okay, it was just like
stormy
and
icy, whatever. And everyone's like, oh, why would you go in the middle of the winter? I was like, well, I had free time. So I knew it wasn't going to be great, but I wanted to take the chance anyway. Then I went to Rushmore, snowing, foggy. I could show you a picture that I took of it. It's literally just like a few people there, like standing up, looking into the fog. There was like, it looked like Silent Hill.
Oh, that's funny.
You couldn't see anything. And then I went to Scottsbluff, Nebraska, over in the Panhandle, and beautiful. The weather was nice there, but it was closed because it was icy. So that entire trip sucked. But I have that experience of like, man, I drove like all these miles this one weekend, and I didn't get anything out of it. And I'm cool with that.
Were you alone?
I was by myself. The coolest thing I saw, I forget what part of Nebraska it was in, but have you ever heard of Carhenge? Mm-mm. It's a replica of Stonehenge.
I have seen
made
pictures
out of vehicles.
Of this. Yeah, I have.
So like
seen
that
this.
was the coolest thing I saw the entire weekend.
Did you get some pictures of it?
I just like walked around it. I'm like, wow, this is like a 15-minute video, and this is the coolest thing that I saw this entire time.
So they had like the car standing up with the one.
Yeah, and they're big. Like it's kind of like impressive how they did it because they have them all painted to look like rocks and stuff. But yeah, it's Carhenge in Nebraska.
That's crazy.
But back to the main point, like. I wasn't bummed that I couldn't see it. I'm just glad that I had the experience. So going to these places, the place itself doesn't mean a whole lot to me, but just like the adventures that I have there is the greatest
I'm tracking.
thing.
I've been fortunate. Drew and I have done what we call the epic road trip. We did like 4,000 miles in 10 days, 8 days. We went from here to SoCal, all the way to northern Utah. We were in Vegas 3 times on that trip.
And you're training during this?
We trained in Southern California. It was about 4 years ago. I, and Sang did it. And then this past year, Kanan and my nephew and my youngest brother, I took them all the way to Washington State.
Okay.
That was a 4,000 or 5,000 mile round trip, and we went to Idaho, we went to Montana, and we stopped. We took our dirt bikes with, so we rode a bunch of places. We jammed them all in the trailer, and we got to ride. But like you said, like we have a memory of it was a town in Idaho that Dante's Peak, that movie with Pierce Bronson, was filmed in. And like when we were there, I'm like, this town's amazing. It looks like 1950s, and it like never changed. And that's why they filmed the movie there, like an old Sinclair gas station. We went to this like little ice cream shop, and there's this girl making, ice cream sundaes and stuff. And like this tiny little town that's like 3,000 people was this amazing memory. Or we sat and watched the sunset on the Columbia River Gorge one night, the 3 of us sitting in piles of sage that smelled wonderful, just like, okay, this is cool. Like I could hang out here for like a week and just watch these sunsets.
Yeah. Stuff like that just sticks with you forever. There have been a lot of like surprises like that in traveling too. Just like, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing that happened, like something as simple as like watching the sunset in a really cool place, like a lot of those places around the country now, I have such a vivid memory of these things now that it just like, I don't know, it's great. Like I'm so thankful for all of the experiences that I've had just in the past year alone, not to mention everything else prior to that and everything that's going to come from here on forward. Like, man, I love traveling so much, and I don't think I'm ever going to get sick of it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I love home. I like my own bed and all that stuff, but it is exciting to experience places and people.
Yeah.
I've gone to places that people are like, that place sucks. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. That place is awesome. Like Pierce, South Dakota. People are like, Pierce sucks. And I'm like, no, it actually is amazing. Like that's right where like Dances with Wolves was filmed.
Are those people from Pierce?
Or no, it's like people that have like lived, or people that have like visited there, because it's the middle of the Great Plains. But there's like a couple really cool restaurants there. It's gorgeous. It's where Dances with Wolves was filmed, which is from like a American history standpoint, it's a horrible thing what we did to the Lakota Indians, but like there's places like that if you just take somebody's word for it, like I just talked to a guy the other day that's from Paducah, Kentucky. Hey, get down, we're filming. He's from Paducah, Kentucky, and he's like, yeah, you probably never heard of this place. I'm like, we drive through Paducah like 4 times a year. Like, of course I have. I know the 3 best places to have lunch there.
I've definitely come across a lot of places like that. But also, not to talk bad about any state.
Some places that you got
North Dakota, South Dakota, and again, nothing against those states, but there are places where the weather is just inherently terrible for like 6 months out of the year. So when I did that trip to North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, I kind of framed it the same way I'm talking about it. Like the experience was great. Unfortunately, weather was bad. I'll go back and visit it at some other time. There were so many negative comments on those videos that were like, oh yeah, of course the weather's bad. Of course the state sucks because you're visiting in, I don't even know when it was, January.
Was it people that lived there that were like defending their state?
Yeah. So it was a lot of that. And I mean, just maybe the people that even didn't live there, but they're like, yeah, of course it's bad. And again, not to talk bad about North Dakota, South Dakota, or any state where the weather is really bad, but if the weather sucks like 6 to 8 months out of the year, the state kind of sucks. I'm sorry. Like, I like being outside. I love Colorado. Like, I just came from Colorado 2 days ago because it's the middle of winter and you go outside and it's like 55 degrees and sunny. Beautiful.
And you can drive up the hill and be in the mountains skiing.
And then be in snow. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. I think what you're talking about is kind of a mindset thing too. Like, so maybe part of the journey was bad, but you're taking away it's your life passing by. It's not just about driving here real quick and getting here and staring at this mountain. It's the trip there, the emotions, the feelings, the way you're using up the hourglass of your life.
Yeah, and I tried to frame that whole trip in a good light. I was like, typically I wouldn't post a video like this, but I'm gonna post it so you guys know that, like,
your steak sucks.
just so traveling like this, it isn't all like glitz and glamour, and you're not like waking up with a hot chick on the beach every day. Half the time I'm waking up by myself in a Walmart parking lot.
Yeah,
Cool
with a trucker named Carl.
Yeah, Carl. I've had some truckers take photos of my van parked at a truck stop and like DM them to me like, yo man, big fan, just saw you parked at the parking lot out here at like 6 o'clock in the morning. It's kind of weird.
My little brother Tom and I, who's the guy I was just telling you is in California right now with his Mercedes Sprinter. We were on a road trip as kids. He's 5 years younger than me, so he was probably 14. I was probably 18 or 19, somewhere around there. We're on 80 going back and forth from my sister's in Leadville, Colorado to Chicago here. And we're stopped somewhere in Nebraska or wherever at a truck stop just to get like 3 hours of sleep. And we're crashed out. It's winter time, so we kept starting the truck. And I wake up to my brother going, and there's a freaking dude like this just watching us sleeping, staring through the windshield. And I like laid on the horn. That trip I just told you about with my brothers and my nephew, we were dead tired. We'd been going to hotels, but we just needed to sleep for a couple hours. So I jumped in the back seat because I'm the oldest one, and they were in the front. So I'm kind of sacked out in the back of my truck. And we wake up. Of course, the inside of the van smells like an asshole because there's three dudes. There's three dudes in there. Somebody wrote on the window like something creepy while we were sleeping. They came and wrote like in the frost,
like something threatening or
just something weird. I don't ask Kanan when you go upstairs, but like we woke up and my brother Daniel's like, "What the hell is that?" Like somebody like watching three boys sleep or something creepy, So I'm like, "All right, no more truck stop sleeping. We're done with that." Yeah, you got the van with all the curtains and all that stuff, and
yeah. So I have pretty good privacy. Luckily, knock on wood, I have not had many issues. Actually, pretty much no issues. Never been knocked on by the cops for anywhere that I
pick spots like Walmart where it's allowed.
Yeah. So like living out of a van, which I've been doing for the past year now, finding spots to sleep is probably the thing. I don't want to say it's the hardest, but I spend like the most time doing.
What do you do?
There's a lot of good apps like iOverlander, and there's like boondocking apps and stuff where you can find out where other people have camped before. For the most part, I probably spend like 60 to 70% of my time in national forest.
Okay.
Which is great when you're out west. When you're over here, you don't have much option. Like there's not a whole lot of public land over like east of the Mississippi. So last night I stayed at a state park. It was basically closed for the winter time, but you can go and fill out like a
little paper thing,
reservation thing, drop them like $5 and just spend the night. My van luckily can be completely off grid. So the only thing I really need is diesel fuel. I got solar panels, so I never have to plug in anywhere. I have a second alternator for electricity that powers all of my heat. And for water, I have a gravity fill, so I could fill up like out of a stream if I wanted to, which I've only done like once. But other than that, I typically try to stay away from campgrounds, away from cities and populated areas. So national forest is where I stay for the most part.
Makes sense.
Yeah. East Coast is just harder. I think that's why I enjoyed my time out west a lot more.
You and I both came from like more populated areas. I think it's freeing when people talk about how overpopulated we are. They never drove around the country.
Yeah.
Because there's places where you can drive for miles and days, and it's just open.
Even on my way here, like obviously it's a lot of farmland, which is super important.
From like the Iowa border to here.
Iowa border, yeah, all the way across.
Farmland.
The north is like the northern part of the state, and yeah, there were some roads that I was on where I didn't pass another vehicle for like 15 minutes. I'm like, damn, dude, I'm out here. Like,
even though we're just the edge of Chicagoland here, I always joke with people because we're out in the country. I say you can see, I'm like the edge of Iowa because you leave my neighborhood and it's corn all the way to the
flat.
Mississippi River. Yeah.
Some good sunsets.
Oh,
like
it's gorgeous.
When you get to like a tiny little peak somewhere in this state, like you can see for miles and miles.
Yep. Down south's cool, Shawnee National Forest, but that's 5 hours from here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through that area. Right now, I'm on the route of heading back to visit family in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
But then I'm not stopping. So
Okay.
I'm not living in Pennsylvania anymore. I'm still living out of the van full time. So I'm gonna go up to visit some friends in the Northeast again, and then I'm gonna make my way back through probably the bottom part of this state, actually.
All right.
Have you ever been to Casey, Illinois?
Where's Casey?
It's
You know where that is, Drew?
on the
Sounds familiar.
not on the border of Kentucky, but it's down southern part of the state.
I'm sure I drove through there, but then it's so unpopulated down there.
Yeah,
80?
we call it Egypt.
80
Yeah.
runs right across there, right?
Okay, so that's not that far south if it's 80, because that's just like a couple miles.
What's the other highway? I thought it was 80, 81.
It's 80 and 88. That's on the north side.
Yeah, but that's up here.
Illinois.
Okay, I thought I was.
We'll look it up.
Yeah, but anyway, you should look it up.
Okay.
If you Google image search this town, I found out about it a long time ago, and I think they hold the world record for like the most oversized items.
What's that mean?
Like the world's
Oh,
largest
like
chair,
thimble and weird shit like that?
World's
Okay.
largest pencil, world's largest mailbox.
I have been to this town.
Okay, it's right off the highway, and I drove past it a couple months. Actually,
Yep, the first thing that comes up is the big chair.
the giant chair. Yeah.
Okay, so that's looks like 40.
So like I have a lot of stuff like that on states.
It's right by Terre Haute. It's just over the border from Terre Haute.
Is that off the main highway there? Is that 80 or no?
No, that's what highway?
Whatever
is that?
highway it is.
Yeah, it's between Effingham and Terre Haute.
Yeah.
Actually, I lived down there. My
Guess
sister was born right there in Sullivan.
okay. So guess what I saw yesterday then?
What'd you see?
The world's largest concrete garden gnome.
Where was that?
Nice.
I think
It's
we've
at
seen that.
Iowa State University. They have a garden place over there, and it's just this like 2-ton, 10, 15-foot tall garden gnome.
I need that picture for the thumbnail.
Yeah, I'll send you the picture. And like in Iowa, I'm into like mountains and like off-roading and stuff like that, and there's not much to do there. So the first thing that I Googled that popped up, I was like, oh, I'm totally going to see this garden gnome. And I went and saw it, and it was great. I'll show you the picture when I
That's
get my
funny.
phone.
So you started a new business.
Yeah, so Sei Productions. For a while, I was doing YouTube and everything working for myself as a sole proprietor. There was no real structure to it. I was just like, I'm going to make videos and work with different companies, and hopefully it catches on. So Sei Productions, I started it as like my official business, just to have like an overarching legit company to work underneath for my main YouTube channel, Talon Sei, Sunday Gun Day. I've been working with a lot of like pretty big brands, and I felt like
Can you name some?
yeah, I mean, I'll talk about some of the older ones that I work with, like everyone.
Yeah, because I know there's some that you're not sharing yet, but
Yeah, got a big one coming soon, which I told Mick about. I'm really excited for that. I'm going to have a meeting with them in a few days. But like pretty much everyone in the gun industry, like we have connections that are mutual with everyone, from CZ to Smith & Wesson and these ammo manufacturers and whatever. So working with them as just myself, especially when trying to work with someone new, it didn't always feel like I was leveraging myself properly, if that makes sense. So I have a team of people who do a few different things for me now, but instead of someone just reaching out to me directly, they can talk to someone at Sei Productions who can then come to me and be like, hey, this company wants to work with you. Would you be interested? Because
gatekeepers.
yeah, gatekeepers, because I'm sure you get it a lot too, but so many companies want to huck their product at you and just hope that you'll work with them. And that's sort of the stuff that I talked about, the negative side, like all those emails that I get flooded with every day.
Yeah.
It was overwhelming. So
And you do need to look, because there are legitimate opportunities that become available. It's not just they don't just fall in your lap without the effort of filtering that information too.
Right, and I wish I could reply to everyone, even if it was simply a no, I'm not interested. But dude, that takes a lot of time.
Yeah, and a lot of it is just like some, I don't want to say low level, but some low level person that's on sales staff that's just going through social media, yeah, and just
shooting their shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hundreds of emails a day.
Right. So Sei Productions started as that idea, like I wanted to have something official, and then it just sort of branched out. Like as I kept talking with people as I was traveling around the country. Another thing I mentioned earlier was that I wanted to find something like for the next step after YouTube, because I don't think I'm gonna do YouTube forever. Channel's done now. No more posting videos. No.
Well, I mean, everything. You went to school, you got a job. I mean, I'm not doing the same thing now that I was doing a year ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So
everything changes.
So I wanted to build Sei Productions as sort of a production company, mainly just being myself for now. So if Manfrotto, tripod company, comes to me and they want me to make a review video, they would contact Sei Productions and be like, hey, what are your rates or whatever? Because time is money, and promoting a product, whether I like it or not, I wouldn't promote something I don't like. So I would test the product. If I like it and I'm promoting it to 500,000 people, there's a price tag on that. Like, don't work for free. So there's that part of Sei Productions. There's one that I haven't quite got into yet, but actually making content for companies, like creating a proposal, be like, hey, this is what I can fulfill. I filled out a few of them yet. I haven't taken any like serious gigs yet, but I enjoy making videos. So that's another portion of it. The main portion that I've been the most excited about is like the apparel line. So like this is a release that's coming later this month, I think March 15th. But I'm into all sorts of products like we talked about, EDC products and wallets, knives, guns, dildos. I heard you got some wooden dildos from Costa Rica the other week.
I brought back 4.
Did you bring me one?
I mean, I could share one with you.
COVID. You can't share dildos during COVID.
Be wrapped up, you weirdo.
Okay. Protection.
Dildo sanitizer. You know what's funny? Is I guarantee I could sell dildos.
Dude, yeah, you probably could. You stamp your logo on the nuts and you'd sell 1 million of them.
So the products, because you've got a lot of lifestyle stuff, like you collect pocket knives, you collect pistols, but there's a lot, like you have a pistol, that signature pistol that you have made. I think, is this one of them?
Yeah, I have a signature pistol down there. It's hot.
It is hot, so I'm not
super loaded.
Is 48?
43X.
43X,
yeah,
okay.
So that's a TS 43X. I can send you pictures and stuff of that if you want to drop it in. So that's not a Sei product. That's just like a signature product of mine. But from the Sei perspective, Sei Productions is the name of the company, and then Sei as a brand, our slogan is the outdoor adventure culture, because just like we were talking about, I like getting out and adventuring and just doing a lot of stuff outdoors. So I have all of this gear, and the one thing that I was kind of missing was like clothing. I was always wearing other people's clothing, which, I mean, when you're someone like me, I kind of become a billboard. Like, dude, I have, and I'm sure you probably do too, stacks and stacks and stacks of t-shirts from holster manufacturers and gun companies and this and that. And
I wear few of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them end up on targets at our classes.
That's fine. You need to see how the bullet penetrates through into those ballistic dummies. Yeah, so I didn't like being a billboard for everyone, and like when people wear shirts like that, you can tell what type of person they are. So I like being a little more low-key. So I started my own apparel company, basically, under Sei, so it's the Sei brand. And we're doing flannels, shirts, hoodies, all sorts of stuff that I wear. And I'm so stoked on it because I'm creating new products every month. I've literally completely changed my entire like wardrobe. I'm not super into fashion, but I've gotten rid of all of my t-shirts, all of my hoodies, all of my flannels, and I'm only wearing my own stuff now. Because it's stuff that I have a team of people who find the products for me. They, I mean, hand do like all of this stuff here. So like sewn on leather tags and like custom branding inside. So it's stuff that I really enjoy and wear. And whether people buy it and wear it or not, I don't care, because I love doing it and I'm going to keep making it.
That's cool. I don't wear a lot of our clothes.
You're wearing one of your shirts right now.
I know. I was about to say today. I had one on, and then I was going to throw a flannel on, and you had one on. I didn't want to look like we're flannel bros, so I just left the shirt on the floor. But I do wear Supervel stuff, Langdon stuff. AmeriGlow stuff. Because my friend Dan Hart and I talk about this. I will support my friends, and it's not because they've asked me to, but it's like I appreciate these people. So I will support them, but it's like if you just send me free shirts, I don't need free shirts, or I'm not. But yeah, I get you.
It's funny you say that because one of my favorite shirts is I have a old S12 sponsor shirt that I got at one of like the early S12s.
The one where the back was covered with all of the.
It's just a little pocket logo, and then I think the CarryTrainer logo on the back, and like I guess those are like next level shirts or whatever they may be. Super comfy though.
I might have one more of those in your size I could give you before you leave.
Okay, well that's what I was gonna say. A lot of my stuff is like really low key branded. Like if you just saw me wearing this, you'd be like, oh, it's a flannel.
Yeah.
But basically, I wanna grow Sei to be a brand of its own that can
where you'll be
stand up.
like a rap star or something, where it's just like, or it's just like the one name thing, just like.
Yeah. I want people to like know about that without knowing me. That would be super cool.
What does it even mean? It'd be like, oh, that's a Greek word.
Yeah, it stands for Sexual Energy International. But I'm gonna.
You just come up with that?
I just came up with that.
That's pretty good.
Maybe that's what it means.
There you go.
I never really said what
Mom,
it means.
why did you never tell me?
Yeah, I gotta send you some flannels though. These are.
I wear one of your flannels. I'd sport that. I mean, that'd be a good. Like, I like that. I wear. It's funny. People say to me sometimes, like, "Oh, you're trendy." Like, I've actually like worn jeans, t-shirts, and flannels since I was a little boy. So
yeah, I guess this is trendy. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not saying it's trendy, but like now it's like become like a.
I guess people consider it trendy
right,
now.
Because like the hipster movement, like like nice handmade leather boots, rolled up pant bottoms, that kind of shit.
Having a beard, I get called a hipster so often, and I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
Like, when I think of a hipster, definitely a beard comes to mind, and I guess like flannels and stuff too, but...
I am 1,000% not a hipster, but I love them, because anywhere there's hipsters, there's awesome food, there's awesome breweries, awesome coffee. Yep. So, bring them on.
Yeah, I mean, I'll hang out with hipsters all day. That's fine. You think I'm a hipster? That's cool. Whatever.
Yeah, I got a friend that always has like shirts that say like "Death to Hipsters," and it's like, well, okay, I guess you don't like really well cooked steaks.
Yeah, I don't know. I love a well cooked steak.
Me too. So production is the next big movement for you, which is awesome.
Yeah, I've been putting a lot of time and effort into this. I mean, I started it almost a year ago. I began the conversation with the team of people who I have doing all the apparel and stuff like that. And like I said, I'm hoping I'm just gonna keep putting money into it and putting time and effort into it until hopefully it grows to be as big as my channel, my social media presence, and ideally bigger. That way someone can look at Sei, the brand.
Yeah. I'll do
and
your
not
voiceover.
even know me.
I'll do your voiceover for the end of the commercial where some dude takes a cologne and goes,
yeah,
and some chick walks in and she's like, and then it just goes, Sei.
That's good.
I'm on it.
Maybe we should make a commercial on here.
So I got one more topic. I think just as we're talking about this, I think it's a good wrap up for the things that we're talking about. One thing leads to another. We started talking about that as we were upstairs, oh, I like doing this. Oh, I can make money. Oh, maybe I want to start doing this. Oh, now I have a production company. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned action. And that I think is you can have the best ideas in the world. I'm reading a book right now about the Wright brothers.
Okay.
Excellent freaking book. It's written by, it'll come to me in a second, his name, very famous author. And I've always loved aviation, and I love history, and I'm flabbergasted reading this. These dudes were flying 25 and 30 mile loops in a field outside of Dayton, Ohio, and nobody cared, nobody believed them. There were hundreds of eyewitnesses to it. The War Department, the governor, senators, they all thought it was bullshit. Local newspapers, nobody cared. And the Smithsonian, all these people were just yeah, it's not real. And then they'd come there and somebody'd be like, yeah, Drew saw it, here's a picture. Drew's crazy too. And then finally years after, people were oh, maybe this is a thing. And
so this was before Kitty Hawk?
No, it was after all that. Even that was happening too. So they did glides out at Kitty Hawk, and then they finally created an aircraft that they can maneuver and fly.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's a couple years later, and people still didn't believe them and they didn't care. So
wild.
then people start to find out about it, and they started just stealing all of their patented information, and everything worked out fine for them in the end. But the action part, these guys were like animals with work. They'd crash an airplane and just be like excited because they'd figure out like, shit, it crashed because that one thing was messed up, and they'd pile up all this stuff and go all the way back to Dayton from the Carolinas.
Damn.
And just start working while they still ran their bicycle business because they paid for everything out of pocket.
That reminds me a lot of like what Elon Musk is doing right now with SpaceX and going to Mars and stuff like that. Because there are a lot of people, I mean, I love space and like everything about it, the exploration and the science behind it all. But there's a lot of people who are like, either maybe, I think everyone believes that this is happening, but a lot of people just don't care. And I think it's like,
I just saw they just landed the rocket today, and it looks so fake.
yeah,
Did you see it?
It's insane.
It looks completely fake.
And the way you talked about the Wright brothers, like finding a little piece that malfunctioned or whatever, like Elon Musk and that team at SpaceX is doing that same thing
billions
now.
and billions.
Billions of dollars, yeah. Like as opposed to like a couple $100
But
or whatever.
these guys could have died at any moment.
Oh yeah. So
They would go to like ponds and just watch birds fly around with like whatever they had, binoculars, and just try to like figure out anything
figure
to
out
make
lift
it work
or whatever.
Yeah,
They didn't know what lift was, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
But the action, the amount of work,
Right.
that was what I was saying. It's like, so you get an idea. I want to sell shirts. That seems hard. There's a lot of people that sell shirts.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, took you a year to formulate the new business. And I'm sure you'll keep changing things and adding. And
yeah, I definitely will. I mean, that is the main thing though, like action. I very rarely talk about things unless I've already taken the steps to make it a reality. Sometimes I don't even talk about things until it like completely comes to fruition.
I like that.
Because I've just come across so many people in my life who do just talk. They don't walk. They don't.
Hot air.
Exactly. They don't have the action behind all of these grand ideas that they have. So that's kind of a pet peeve of mine when someone like is talking all this and that, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start this company or I'm gonna start a YouTube channel and do this and that. Yeah, I'm like, cool. Have you made your first video? So why are you telling me if you haven't? Like, so I definitely put action before talk.
There's like a fine line where, and it just upsets some people. There's a fine line. Well, I got to think about it and plan it, because if I just like, try to fly something, how many people died just like creating weird inventions and they crashed and died? So you have to, I mean, we're not talking about life and death stuff, but you just quit your job without a plan? Well, no, I had a plan. I had worked and realized I could make a living. And what's the worst thing? I go fill out a job application or go on Monster or whatever and get a job again.
And I like occasionally that comes to mind just thinking about wild stuff while I'm driving. However, I will say though that now that I've tasted this freedom, I will do everything in my power to not work for someone again in my entire life.
I can't do it.
It's just not for me. And I think if more people hopefully can and do find a way to work for themselves and not even make money, but just to be happy while still maintaining your normal life, I think they would never go back to a normal job.
Some people like that, the confines of that, like a warm blanket.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I mean, I still have that feeling.
Blanket.
Warm, dirty, wet blanket
Yeah,
found in your basement.
Yeah.
Some people are comfortable with that, and great. Like I don't wish I was comfortable at that stuff, like working in 9 to 5, but that's great. Like having a 401k and having benefits through your company, that's awesome. And as long as you're happy, you can spend time with your family after work and whatnot and still do what you love, like that's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's just not me, and I know that's not you either.
No, I think people have to find out what's right for them. Like there are many people, I have many family members, loved ones that love, we're wired different. Mm-hmm. We're wired different. I have a lot of family members that are artists, musicians. Their brains work completely different than somebody that's an engineer or something like that sees things, a different way. Parting thoughts. What do you got? What would you leave people with if they never see your channel, never cross your way again? But before you say that, how do people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Talon, TALON_SEI, or on YouTube at Talon Sei if you're into firearms, which I'm sure you are. Sunday Gunday, super easy to find. Parting thoughts, I think the main thing that's on my mind now is just this past year with traveling, how like healthy it's been for me mentally. Just being able to get out there and communicate with people, especially in today's times with the lockdown and everything. Like, you can't travel, you can't do this and that. I did it anyway, and it was seriously like this past year has been pretty life-changing. Just personal growth alone. I would just say get out there and experience stuff more. Go out and explore the country because it's huge and there is way more to see than wherever your hometown is.
I dig that. I 100% agree. 2020 was great for us in tons of ways, and a lot of similar sentiments for myself. I always appreciate seeing you. It's been fun to watch. I'm old enough to basically be your father. I could have been
Maybe
about 15 when you were. What year were you born?
92.
So I graduated high school, I think, in like 92 or 3 or
So
something.
yeah, it could have been a popping out a kid
Yeah.
right out of high school.
But I met you, you were not much younger. I met you like 5 years ago or something,
Yeah.
but a lot's changed in your life. You've grown up a lot. You're a super cerebral guy. You put a lot of work into this, and it's been fun to watch it unfold, and you work really hard, and it pays off, and as it should. You guys watching, if you're not into skateboards or snow skiing and the stuff that he does, the takeaway isn't follow his lifestyle. It's that you can, especially where we live here in America, do whatever the frick you want and make a living at it. And it might be hard, and it might be different than what you were told was the path you should follow by your parents or your teachers, but you live once, right?
That's it. Life is short. I luckily have no regrets as of now.
Me neither. Well, I have a few, but
We won't talk about those though. That's for the After Hours Hardline podcast. You guys can find that in the show notes down below.
Dial 1-900 or whatever, $3.50 a minute. If you dug the show, comment below. Talk in the comments about what you liked about it. If you found some kind of revelation here, maybe share it in your social media feed. Tell people about the conversation here. We appreciate you. Drew appreciates you. Don't be dickheads. Tell somebody you love them. If it's just you, love yourself, because in the end, that's all you got. Bye. Visit our website, CarryTrainer.com, for information about classes held throughout the U.S., CarryTrainer apparel, and upcoming projects. You can also email us at training@CarryTrainer.com for information about setting up your own private course or speaking engagement. Training@CarryTrainer.com or CarryTrainer.com. Hey man, what are you doing in the podcast room, Steve?
I'm writing a national anthem. It's going to be at folk festivals for Gunfighter Gun Oil.
Oh.
Let me tell you about Gunfighter Gun Oil. Made in the USA. Gunfighter Gun Oil, 100% synthetic. It's gonna last you, baby. Yeah. Gunfighter Gun Oil is the best I've ever seen. It's gonna make you get everything that you've ever seen. Oh, baby, I love me some Gunfighter Gun Oil. Yeah. Oh, Gunfighter Gun Oil. Gunfighter.
Gonna get my lighter out. I don't have it.
It wasn't even Bob Dylan. It was like a love story.